rise one day at a time. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. They're here to get your day going fine. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio.
And here's your host, Miss Kim Robinson.
Good day, my good people. Charles McCutchen here. I'm your favorite entrepreneur. So glad I could have you for another time. I want to welcome everybody to Charles's Corner. And those that haven't been here before, allow me to reintroduce myself. Charles McCutchen, your favorite entrepreneur, best-selling author with the nonprofit helping homeless veterans, doing the developments out here, Mr. Real Estate himself. I'm hungry, y'all. I'm just going for it. I have a lot of mentors, a lot of people working with me along this journey. And I would tell you, you're going to have to find people to get on your team as well. You're not going to be able to do all this by yourself. And people ask me that all the time. How are you able to do all this? I do not do all this by myself. Ooh. I have good mentors. I literally stand on the shoulders of giants. That's how I look at it. So, but I take their information, I do what they tell me to do, and I follow through and I take action. That's the only thing I'm doing along my journey. If I have time today, I'll tell you where I am in part of my journey. So what's going on in the world today, and I like to keep it relevant to what's happening today. A lot of people, it's starting to pick up a little bit right now. If you look at I have to talk real estate only because it's going to affect everybody, and the market is going to crash, and that's, it's going to affect all of us. So I speak on real estate in ways to help people, for one, and I speak on real estate because that's what I know best. So the real estate market is like booming in a lot of different areas. I just saw somebody spend probably over $200,000 and overpaid for a property, for a house. They overpaid by $200,000, family. What that's telling me is the market is, imagine the market like when COVID was starting and everybody was going out to get toilet paper and people was buying toilet paper at an enormous markup. That's exactly what's happening in the housing market. There's not enough inventory, and there's a lot of people trying to buy, and because the rates are so low, so you get all these people like, whatever, I'll pay anything just to get this particular house. I think the house I saw was $900,000. Somebody paid like $1.2 million for it. Just crazy. Just happening. Life happens. Get in where you fit in. That's just showing me what's happening as far as this trend. I say enjoy it while it lasts, because to me it's looking more like what happened in 2007. You get the markup. Everybody's buying houses. That's what happened in 07, and then 08, and it crashed. I don't know when it's going to crash. Nobody really knows. All you can do is be ready. So my goal that I'm going to give y'all stuff today, and this is only for the real estate folks, so sorry for anybody else. If you're not real estate, you might not understand this. And even if you are real estate, you might not understand this because a lot of people are not doing deals creatively. And a lot of people out there in the real estate world, all they do is wholesale and flip and maybe a little bit of rehab. That's kind of like where people stay. They do more single family than anything. That's across the nation. And a lot of people don't go into multifamily deals. And for anybody out there that's listening right now, I'm looking for, like right now, today, to 100 units. I got to put this shameless plug out there. Looking for a multifamily deal from 20 to 100 units, a Class C property with a light rehab, no major renovations, from about $3 million to about $7 or $8 million. So if you find that, charlesmspeaks@yahoo.com, or find me on social media, and let's talk. I can make some money with you, show you how I do what I do. So that's another thing. So I'm today going to talk about what's going to happen out there when a lot of these foreclosures happen. I'm going to take y'all a couple of different avenues, a couple of different ways. One of the things that's going to happen when the market crashes is the banks are going to get back a lot of houses. Banks are not in the real estate industry. Banks don't do real estate. Banks loan out money to make money. That's what they do. They're going to have this inventory on hand. What they call that inventory is non-performing assets. The houses are not performing. They call them non-performing assets. And then what they do is they have them in what we call portfolios. So in a portfolio, it could be 100 assets. And those 100 assets are on the don't like when a bank has that many assets on their books. So they come in and say, hey, you got to get rid of these assets. So what do banks do? They start looking towards nonprofits because they can write off those assets and giving it to or donated it to a nonprofit. Those assets can be written off, or giving it to a nonprofit at like 30 cents on the dollar. And I sat there and watched my mentor kill the game back in '08 and '09, and I remember he got a 32 unit donated to him. Even to this day, I have my own nonprofit, and I sit on the board for a nonprofit, and we get property donated to us from the banks. Like, we got 3 different houses. We had to do the rehab on those houses, fix them up. We had a plan, though. You go in with a plan to the bank to say, this is my plan. We help the lower-income community get back in the homes. They rent for about a year. We help them with their credit. We put them through programs, and then they actually are able to take over the payments because they got a 640 credit score, and then we get a lender to fund them or a bank to fund them, and then they own the home outright, and we're out the deal as a nonprofit. So the same thing is going to happen when the market crashes this time. So I'm going to bank. My goal is to hit up Atlanta. I'm going to hit up Dallas. I'm going to hit up Washington, D.C. I'm going to hit up Detroit. I'm going to hit up Virginia. And I know those spots particularly have black-owned banks. So my goal is go into these banks and talk to these different bankers and ask them about their non-performing assets. For one, this dates back. So it dates back right now to and I got to talk about what I'm going through and talking about what I'm doing so that you can have a better understanding. So right now we're building a development. I know I spoke about it a few different times on a few different shows. We're building. We haven't built yet. We're in the phase of getting it ready. On the funding phase of everything, and the paperwork phase, and lawyer phase, and all that stuff. So we're doing a $200 million development in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We have different hedge funds and pension funds, and I've been on social media talking about how to get in contact with pension funds and hedge funds and things that they need to require from you and all of that information. So I'm putting that out on social media. I'm actually going to do a Zoom as well to let people see how I do what I do when I speak to these hedge funds, different questions they ask me, what they need to even get on the phone. I've even recorded a conversation between myself and a hedge fund, and this particular hedge fund has $20 billion. So they actually want to be part of the funding to fund the development that we're working on in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So when the funding comes in for that, whether it's $100 million, $200 million, $400 million, what have you, my goal is to go to these bankers out there and to talk to them and tell them that I would like to see them dish out or loan out more money to people that look like me, for lack of a better word, because there are some practices out there from banks that don't lend to people of color and don't lend enough money to people of color, and it's documented. This is nothing that I'm just bringing up to bring up. This is documented information. There's a law that was passed against it, and they were trying to stop it. So you can go do your own due diligence. I'm just going to do this because I know I have to. So with the funding that come in, my goal is to go to these different banks and say, hey, I want to put $50 million in your bank account. And by putting $50 million in your bank account, I want you to turn around and loan out money to black business owners. And the other thing I'm going to ask for is their non-performing assets list. So this is how it looks. So let's say they have 100 assets in a non-performing assets list. They had 100 assets. I'm going to bring in my nonprofit, and I'm going to say I want some of those assets donated. I want the assets for single-family and multifamily. I want some of it donated, and I want some of it at 30 cents on the dollar, because you can just write it off to the nonprofit. And once they want to do that, I'm going to take those assets and talk to the community and say, if I got it for 30 cents on the dollar, I can in turn give it to you for 40 cents on the dollar, and now you can do whatever you want to do with it. And then my nonprofit grows, and we continue to help people. So that's what my goal is when the market is getting ready to crash or setting it up, because I'm actually getting set up now as we speak. And since I talked about the development, I might as well keep going. So right now in the development phase of things, everything is set up with the exception of, we call this a purchase and sale agreement. So a purchase and sale agreement is actually buying the land of the 14 owners that own it. So these 14 owners are older than 70 years old, so we have to explain to them what's actually going on, and they have to understand it for, Then we have to get with each of them individually, because they all own their own land. So I'm going to give y'all the story on this one. I'm not going to sugarcoat it either. I can't, because this is bigger than me. So I'm going to read some of this, called Burton Station in Virginia. I'm going to tell y'all why this is going to be so big. I didn't even know I was going to talk about this, but yet here we are. So this is so big because back in the day, the government tried to take the land from these folks, because back in the late 1880s, slaves were allowed to buy land. And since they were allowed to buy land, these slaves bought the land in a place called Virginia Beach, Virginia. And over the years, the land it started to be very profitable, so they wanted the land back, in a sense. So the government stepped in and tried to take the land. They held on. And then the city stepped in and tried to take the land, and they held on. So it's a good thing that they held on, and now it's only 14 landowners that live there, and they're the descendants of the slaves. Imagine that. So what happened is, like 40-plus years ago, everybody's been trying to lowball them and get this land, but they never sold the land. So now they're getting their just due, and this is how the situation looked back then. Imagine this. Imagine, just 40 years ago, imagine you have a house in that area and you call in a contractor because, you want to repair your home. And the contractor says, okay, I can do the repairs. I need to go get a permit. The contractor goes to the city to get the permit, and the city denies the permit. So they basically wanted everybody's house to fall down and have them to move out. And that's because what they did is, we live in places called residential areas, family. So places can be rezoned to different things. So sometimes they have a place called a mixed-use area, or different zones. There's zones B and all that kind of stuff, different type of zones. It tells if you're residential, if you're a commercial area. And so what the city did is rezoned it to say it's no longer residential. This is now industrial. And so nobody can move in here. You can't even repair your home. And that's held on. So I'm going to read this quick story so you can have a good understanding. This is called Burton Station. It's located in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's close to the airport, and that's why it's just so sexy for a lot of people. So I'm going to speak on these two. They were slaves back in the day, William Elliott and Fannie Elliott, back in 1884 to 1936. They lived. They were Burton Station residents, so areas called Burton Station. You can look it up online. So after the Civil War, many free slaves worked as tenant farmers, and by the late 1880s, some were able to purchase land. And some of them were Simon Elliott, Peter Roberts, and other former slaves. They purchased property from a plantation. It's a small community, and it's historically African-American community called Burton Station. It was first known as a place called Colored Gent, and was located, like I said, close to Norfolk Airport in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Most of Burton Station's early residents made their living by me. They was on the docks in Norfolk providing domestic services to households of the wealthy residents in a place called Princess Anne Community. And so they have a place called Burton Station and Colored Gent on a map, in a sense. So the federal government eventually confiscated the land, family. And a lot of people had to relocate to what they call it's the present-day Burton Station, still in the same area. So it's a lady named Floral Lee. She was born in Burton Station in the 1930s, and she resided there for more than 50 years. She finally remembered her neighbors, most of whom were related. They shared homegrown okra, butter beans, squash, and a few of the farmers tended rows of collard greens, sweet potatoes, and string beans. And it's crazy just listening to their stories, because some of them, they remember, everything back then. So we actually going to do a movie about this. So it's a lady named Naomi Morgan. She's 74 years old. She's a longtime resident. And she remembered how it once used to be just a thriving African-American community until the local government considered it a prime spot for an industrial park, as I told y'all. Because it's between the airport and like a major intersection or what have you. So homeowners didn't discover that a change was taking place to make it industrial until years later, when some applied for the construction permits or bank loans to try to repair their homes, and they wouldn't give them any money and they wouldn't give them any permits. That's crazy. So they were denied because the zoning laws forbade new construction of major buildings in that area. That's crazy, y'all. So this is big. This is my everything, y'all. Put everything into this to get this done. I'm at a point to where we gotta hurry. We have to hurry, and I'll tell you, of the 14 owners, one of the owners just passed away. The lady, man, she was a lively lady. I mean, just lively, just full of energy, and her name was Miss Joyce. And she passed of COVID. She had COVID. Like, she just passed like 3 days ago, y'all. And it's crazy where I started thinking, like, oh my goodness, because when you die and if you don't have a will when you die, oh my, that's problems for a lot of goings-on, because what happens is you have the state, they come in and they take over your estate in a sense, and they hold on to it. It could be months before they do anything with it, from your bank accounts to your securities, to your real estate, to your home, to everything. They come in and they have access to everything that person who died has. And if you an heir, I mean, you may be waiting for a while. You may not see anything. So I put this out there to say, look at you have to have a will. It don't cost that much money to say. I think some people do what we call a living will and put that together so it can be changed over time, but you have to have something in place just in case something happens. Because we're still guessing right now, because it's only been 3 days for her, and she was married, and her husband has the land in his name. Now, what would have been, I don't even know how to explain it. It wouldn't have been pretty if the land wasn't in his name, because it would have been tied up. Everybody out there listening, you got to figure out a way to go get, it's not really figuring out a way. It's just, you can go online and ask people for, where'd you get your will from, and get somebody in the area to sit down with these folks, and they can actually help you out. It's not that difficult, but we should be doing it. And a lot of people have died with COVID without any wills. I'm looking at people online, and I'm looking at some of these young folks too, just dying off due to COVID. So, I just wanted to throw that out there for y'all. It's crazy world we live in, crazy world we live in. So with this development, we're still marching on. We're still getting with the homeowners and making sure that they understand these contracts is going to be put out there. Then we have to deal with all these different lawyers, and we're going to be going back and forth and trying to work it out and figure it out. That's when I go into full steam ahead to get some private money that's sitting out there right now. I'm actually working on that as I speak to y'all. I've been working on it today and have that set up to where we can get this thing funded, get the first bit of money, maybe about $80 million, to start the process and then move forward with that. With this particular build out, I'm just gonna stay on this, y'all. I was gonna do something else, but it's all good. I have more, With this particular build out, the goal is we're going to be creating a phone company. We're going to be off the grid. with that area. Right now we have 56 acres, and we're going to be looking to get probably another 100 acres or more to build out, because there's going to be more land out there, and we know some people. We're going to work on this black grocery store. We're working on the black crypto company. We're working on the black merchant processing company. We're going to do generators, and like I said, we're going to be doing our own solar. We can do that. We already have a cannabis company, and what we're doing with cannabis, let me educate y'all real quick. Cannabis is broken down, and it's got a couple of different sides, but I only want to focus on two. One side is the marijuana side, and that's when everybody's like, I don't mess with cannabis because it's bad. And then you have the other side, which is hemp. So I need to educate us. I know some in the church have been opposed to cannabis. That's because they are not educated to understand what cannabis is, and we're leaving a lot of funding on the table. We're not even being part of the conversation. Right now, it's looking about $22.8 billion, family. $22.8 billion as of probably 2022. That's how much money's on the table, and we're letting it go by because we think that's all we thinking is marijuana, and it's so much bigger than marijuana. You can use hemp. Hemp doesn't have the psychoanalytic capabilities as the marijuana stuff. So what it looks like is you can use hemp to make clothes. You can use hemp to make shoes. You can use hemp to put in the walls of the church, to insulate the walls of the church because it's a better insulator. You can use hemp to make oil. You can use hemp to make diesel fuel. So if I don't know if the bishop or the church has a diesel fueled engine, you can use hemp for the diesel fuel to fuel the doggone cars, y'all. Come on now. We have to think better. We have to do better. We have to get educated. And I'll speak this to anybody. I'm telling this to the bishop. I'm telling it to the pastors out there. We have to be educated, and a lot of them are opposed to it. And I say they have you right where they want you. And it all it is we're just ignorant to the fact of what it can really do. There are 50,000 plus uses for hemp. I'm going to say that real slow. There are 50,000 plus uses for hemp, family, and we're letting it pass us by. Like, you can make denim, you can make fine fabrics, you can make ropes. I'm just going to go down some lists. You can make carpet, you can make netting, you can print paper, you can do cardboard, you can do packaging, you can do some soaps, you can do shampoos, lotions, lip balms, cosmetics, fiberglass, acrylic, insulation, fuel, printing ink. You can do varnishes. You can do so much with hemp. It is amazing. It's truly amazing what we can do with it, but we don't want to really look at it for what it's worth. I mean, you can make cereals, you can do bread, you can do – I'm just going down a list of just things that is just popping up. You know, in my mind, I'm just thinking, you can make bags. You can make pet bags. That's what we're doing right now. We have a company that it's a processing company that makes pet bags, and they're getting the hemp from us. We have hundreds of acres right now that we're building. That we're planting out this hemp. So hemp was used way back in the day. It was used for on paper. You know, they wrote some documentation on hemp paper, and then everybody just went to hemp or marijuana, and we stopped. And that's why I say, even though hemp or marijuana sent a lot of people to prison and jail and got a lot of people in trouble, now we can take that same plant on the cannabis side of things, on the hemp side of things, and we use it to make dresses. We use it to make clothes. We use it in the community to make our own stuff, and then we turn around and put that money back into the community. How great is that? This is an industry that is not going away, family. It's not going away. They're going to sign one piece of legislation on a federal level, and all bets are off across the country. So that's what's going on with hemp. Hemp can turn into CBD as well. You know, you have and CBD, they're doing a lot of studies on that. It's got some health properties to it. Don't take my word for it. Please do your own research. I'm not telling people to go get CBD. That's not what I do. I'll tell you to go do your own research to figure out the properties that's good for you. I know a lot of people are getting off of their medicines, and Big Pharma don't want that to happen. So, of course, they want to deregulate. They don't want it to deregulate, so that's what's going on, and that's why we're sitting where we're sitting right now, not in the know. So I want for me, it's about education. We have to get educated, family. We got to figure out a way to make it happen because life is going to continue to keep going. What's going to happen, as I told y'all, the market is going to crash. There's going to be a lot of people that lose. I can guarantee that. And it's only because it's a cycle that's going to happen. What are you going to do to combat this cycle because you know it's coming? That's all I'm saying. It's coming. It's coming. There's no secrets. It's going to come. A lot of people are going to lose their homes, and it's going to be another 08. But I think it's going to be worse than 08 because we have COVID, and it's just people have already started losing their companies because they couldn't stay in business. So now let's tack that on with housing market booming in some places right now, and then let's tack it on with people losing jobs, and then they're going to be losing jobs. So what comes next? The house, of course. Of course, the house. So I just see it happening. My goal is to help as many people as possible. That's why I do what I do. I was going to talk about saving people from foreclosure, but I'm going to save that for next week. There's a way we can actually get people and save them from foreclosure. But I'm only one guy. I'm putting out information to people that I know that want it, that can use it, that make moves with it. But, as far as the other millions of other people, I'm going to just do what I do, y'all. That's what I do. God put me here to help, and that's all I can do is put my best foot forward, and that's where my blessings come from. So what I'm going to do, I want to thank Ms. Kimmy Robinson for giving the platform of Elation Radio, and then Elation Magazine, and then we're going to keep going because you never know where Elation is going to take you. There's a great family out there. We're going to keep producing. And the funny thing is, they started St. Louis. I just talked to a guy from St. Louis, and he's working to go back to St. Louis. He's out in Maryland right now, and he wants to build up some multifamily. So he and I are having some conversations, and you just never know what's going to happen, family. God is good all the time. So what I want to do, I want to pray us out. All right? Dear Father, they say where two or more are gathered, you are in the midst. We enter in your presence, and we ask that you touch us, dear Lord. Please give us the love and the confidence and help us to be the best version of ourselves. And I ask that you continue to move us along this journey, dear Lord. I pray for everybody's strength. I pray for everybody's unity, and I pray for everybody's empowerment. Dear Father, we know that everything happens in your time. We know that you're all-knowing. We know and must entrust and believe in you. And please ensure that you would manifest the destiny and the glory you've already set in our lives, Father God. Ensure that we use up the territory you've already given us. And I pray for everybody to gain more strength and more wisdom so that we'll know without a doubt that joy comes in the morning. In your name I pray. Amen, amen, and amen. I want to say thank y'all to everybody. Thank y'all for coming out. This is Charles McCutchen. I'm your favorite entrepreneur. I'm going for it, y'all. I promise you, no person is going to stop me. All right, y'all take it easy. Have a good one.
True, too. What's up, DB? I think we're going to make them swag it out to this one. Yeah. They going to dance to this one. Oh, I can see it. Yeah. Give me some love. Give me respect. Give me my God. Give me some space. Give me your blessing. Dance like you holy. Dance like you holy. Give me some love. Give me respect. Give me my God. Give me some space. Give me your blessing. Dance like you holy. Dance like you holy. You say you're real with it. So real with it. Then you make your big gun chillin' it. Cause the dickers you don't know who you dealing with. Show me some respect, cause I ain't cleaning with the silliness. Surrounded by the fake, you don't really get. Never compromise for some dividends. I did it before, but I never will again. Asking God for the forgiveness for my sins. I'm a child of the king, yes, I'm a child of the king. The devil can shatter my dreams. Good ground is where I'm a seed, yeah. I got plenty muscle, grinding and easy hustle. Been in the struggle, been in the dungeon, but only a chick for the lunches. Homie, the road with the punches. All people perish for the lack of knowledge. Why you think we attracted violence? College, it ain't for everybody. Some intelligence, stack your wallet. I'm being real, told you I'm cold like a windshield. Roll like a big wheel, spinning like windmills, and we will. Give me some love, give me respect, give me respect. Give me my God, give me some space, give me your blessings. Dance like you holy, dance like you holy. Give me some love, give me respect. Give me my God, give me some space, give me your blessings. Dance like you holy, dance like you holy.
Everything they do is in love.
Face you close and I can see the pose. I told you. They act so holy, act like they don't know me. Mess up my energy, offensive, religiously, unevenly yoked. They don't mix with my chemistry. You're a prophet out of pocket, speaking in riddles all off topic. Planning starships and rockets, spinning the word bicycle sprocket. What is your option, heaven or hell? So what I dwell will I prevail. It's the journey getting close, I am a saved by the bell. Purposely ordained to carry today. Baptized in the joy and pain, not a slave, turning the pain. Toss a car, breaking the tape. Chopping it out like I get to it, ain't easy being too oh, let go. Feel the room now, we packing all the things. Shoulda continued, I think it's all needed. Like the opinion, give me a minute. Everything good come from God. So I order off to me, you bop my head like the baby. Ain't no ifs, ands, or maybe. Keep on walking in the light, while the rest be so safe. They can love me, hate me, the blood is thicker than gravy. Two on the word, better take that. Shocking, amazing grace covers the room, ready, set. Boom, he ain't dead, you heard what I said, the living bread. Go check the tune. The bridegroom's returning soon, gang.
Give me some love, give me respect, give me respect. Give me my God, give me some space, give me your blessings. Dance like you holy, dance like you holy. Give me some love, give me respect. Give me my God, give me some space, give me your blessing. Dance like you holy, dance like you holy.